The woods were like every type of woods you'd expect to see in a horror flick. Thick trees everywhere, barely letting you see the sunlight, blue sky or clouds above them. There was no small stream or river. In fact, there wasn't any source of water in miles. She's traveled so far, in fact, that any source of civilization was miles away. That didn't matter to Dana Swift. The investigative journalist has traveled all over the United States, driving hours in the middle of nowhere just for her job that she loves so much. Her job is practically everything to her. No kids, husband or siblings. Her father is dead, leaving her mother and a couple of select friends as the only actual humans in her life. Dana doesn't care. She has her job. The job that has actually almost gotten her killed twice. The job that her mother hates. The job that she loves. When Dana had heard about the mysterious man in the woods on July 4th, 2018, she doubted the story at first. It came from a Reddit post by some chick named Heather 111205. After some investigating, Dana later found Heather 111205's Instagram page, same username. She attempted to get in contact with Heather via Instagram, but to no avail. After this, Dana publicly announced on her blog and Twitter account that she was investigating the case, and that anyone with information can come to her. Privacy will be respected. Not even a day later, she received a message via Twitter, an anonymous tip, if you will. It was from a blank account with the name being just a string of numbers. The tip was, "I'll tell you everything. I was there. Meet me in Starcrow Woods." Dana had never heard of Starcrow Woods. She looked it up and saw that it was across the country in New York. She began packing for her stay in New York, ready to leave her comfy Los Angeles home that night. Most people wouldn't travel across the US for a job if they didn't have to, but unlike most people, Dana loved her job. After all, she'd done this before. She'd been to New York once before, but it was decades ago, vacation when she was a kid. The day she arrived in the town surrounding Starcrow Woods, she didn't even bother to book a motel. She simply stopped at a local diner for a bite to eat and then headed to the woods. Of course, she contacted Anonymous and told them that she had finally arrived, only getting a "good. Head to the black tree." Dana saw no black tree, so, like a horror movie protagonist, she dove into the thick trees, wandering for hours looking for the black tree. She'd been keeping herself sane these last few hours by talking to herself through a voice recorder. She'd wanted to record all of this for a podcast she's been planning, this case being the first episode. Then, she turned to her right, thinking she'd heard something, and that's when she saw the black tree. It was a literal black tree, black bark, but that's not what Dana was looking at. She was looking at the figure in front of the black tree. The figure in black pants and a thick black trench coat. His face was bloody, his hair was messy, his teeth were non-human. His eyes were pure black, a void. He was breathing heavy and looked angry, mad, disgusted. Just behind him, Dana could faintly see a hole just big enough for a person to get onto their knees and crawl inside of. That didn't matter as all of a sudden the man lunged towards her, screaming. Dana screamed too before dropping her voice recorder and running down the way she came. She could hear the heavy footsteps and cracking leaves as the man growled like a monster. Millions of thoughts circled her brain. Who or what is this guy? What did he want? Why was he chasing her? Did he give her the anonymous tip? Unfortunately, none of that mattered anymore, as the man yelled just before jumping on Dana's back. They fell to the ground as the man turned Dana over, mauling her face so many times with his claws. It killed her. Witness interview 4 of the ongoing case of Renee Wolfe. It is currently 9:49 a.m. on July 4th. Witness name is Quinn Gale, age 12 years old. Quinn's mother, Alexia, is also in attendance. How are you today, Quinn? How's your water?
A little on the warmer side, but it's fine.
That's good. Sorry, I'm Detective Sam Locke. I'll be speaking with you today about what you saw last week on June 29th.
Well, there isn't really much to say.
Really? Why do you say that, Quinn?
Because all I saw was her walking into the woods. I don't see how that can help your investigation.
Actually, Quinn, what you saw can help me a whole lot.
Really?
Really. Now, are you ready? Oh, he is. Been talking about it the entire car ride here. He loves cop shows, and the interrogation parts are always his favorite. Well, this isn't an interrogation, Miss Gale. I simply want to know what your son saw on the evening of June 29th.
Like I said, it was really nothing. I was playing basketball at the park with some friends. About to shoot a hoop before I saw this weird-looking woman walk into the woods.
Friends, there were others with you?
Yeah, my friends Tommy and Richard.
Last names?
Tommy Rosenhaus and Richard Fracklin.
Rosenhaus and Fracklin. Got it. Continue, please.
It was just me and Richard on the field.
Richard and I.
Really, Mom? Richard and I were playing. Tommy was sweating on the bench. I was about to make the basket, but then I saw this weird, fragile-looking woman.
What was she doing?
She was walking fast into the woods, holding something in her hands while muttering something else. I couldn't hear what because it was too far away.
Did Tommy or Richard see this woman? Doubt it. The two are blind as bats.
Mom! Anyway, no, they didn't. Richard was too focused on the game, and Tommy was on his phone.
I see. What did this woman look like? What was she wearing?
She was moving pretty fast, but I could see that she was wearing a light gray tank top and ripped jeans.
Right, got it. Could you make out even a small portion of what it looked like she was saying, Quinn?
Like I said, she was a little far away. Sorry.
No, it's fine. What about her hair?
It was long and black.
Long and black. Alright, Quinn, Miss Gale, thank you both for taking the time to speak with me today. But before you leave, Quinn, I want to play a quick game with you. I'm going to put down 3 photos of 3 different but similar looking women on the table. I want you to identify the woman you saw on the evening of June 29th. Can you do that?
Of course.
Great. Alright, here they are. Take all the time you need.
That's her, Detective Locke. That's the woman I saw speed walking into the woods.
You're sure?
100%.
When it comes to her personal life, Heather Wilcott has been thriving. All of her family and friends love her. Her fiancé Chris is across the world fighting to protect their home country. Her social life is practically non-existent. Ever since July 4th, 2018, Heather didn't care for any of her social media accounts besides posting the story on her Reddit Heather111205 account. That didn't really matter to Heather as much since she was never really into the entire social media thing opposed to others. Plus, with all the "this never happened" comments she had received on her Reddit post, Heather was quite content with not revisiting the site in 2 years. Anyway, Heather's good friend since she was 13, Monica, was coming over to help set up her house for her and her family's yearly Independence Day party/barbecue. Heather's home was originally her parents' house, but bought it from them a few months after the 2018 incident. Only a few short seconds after Monica texted her good friend that she'll be over in half an hour, the sound of Heather's backyard umbrella falling immediately created fear in the mid-20-something woman. The hell? Heather muttered while standing up to look out through the kitchen window. What she saw was nothing but her tipped-over red umbrella. She also saw big, muddy footprints coming from the woods and leading up to her back doorway. Heather turned only to scream as the man in the woods, the man who almost kidnapped her friends and boyfriend back in 2018, the man who caused her to go to therapy for almost a year after the incident, ran towards her and smashed her head against the window. It cracked as the man threw Heather to the ground, her head bleeding from the top. He had huge claws but was wearing the same mask he'd worn 2 years ago on this very day. It was faded and looked dirty, but it was still the same black spray-painted ski mask. Heather screamed as she tried to reach for the butcher's knife on the counter, the man unfortunately beating her to it. Heather jumped up and tried to run, but her long orange hair was pulled from behind and the back of her neck felt cold and metallic, just before blood started dripping down it. She screamed again, and then this time, a knock came from the front door. The man turned his head so fast it wasn't humanly possible. Another knock. Heather? Heather, are you okay? The man growled before throwing Heather onto the counter and slamming the back door open, knife still in hand. She saw as the man sprinted too fast into the woods behind her backyard. Heather began to cry as another knock came. The knocking was coming from Heather's elderly neighbor, Mildred Tipton, who had heard screaming while watering her plants. While the knocking continued, Heather simply leaned against her kitchen counter, now sobbing. Witness interview 5 of the ongoing case of Renee Wolfe. It is currently 12:51 p.m. on July 4th. Witness name is Troy Simpson, age 39 years old. Good afternoon, Troy. I'm Detective Samuel Locke. I'll be talking with you today about what you saw on the morning of June 30th. How are you today? Still a little shaken up about what I saw. That body. That poor girl. Do you have any leads, Detective Locke? I'm still trying to find one, and you can help me with that. So, please explain to me what you were doing on the morning of June 30th. Well, I was taking my morning hike, as I usually do. When do you normally start these hikes? Around 10. Walked a full hour through Starcrow Woods. I take these hikes to get myself ready and energized for the day. I'm going to be taking a break from them now. I understand. Do you remember the exact time you came across the corpse? I do, as a matter of fact. Checked my watch just about a minute before seeing... Sorry. It was 10:38 when I checked my watch, meaning I came across the poor girl at 10:39. 10:39. Continue, please. I was walking past this funny-looking tree before noticing the bloody arm in the leaves. I jogged closer to see if anyone was hurt, but then I saw the mangled body of some poor girl behind the pure black tree. Pure black tree? What do you mean by that? What I mean is that the tree, the bark, was pure black. I know, weird. Yeah. Very weird. Anyway, I quickly pulled out my phone and dialed 911, but I could swear I felt and heard someone watching me. Heard? I heard some leaves cracking behind me, but that was really it. I hope I was helpful. Oh, you definitely were. Detective? Yes? The girl's name, Renee Wolfe. My friend knew her, mentioned her name a couple times over drinks. She was a junkie, from what I've been told. An addict. Do you think this was a drug deal gone bad? Yo, Locke. I'm in the middle of something here, Officer Bullock. Yeah, it's about your case. A call came in. Heather sat at the edge of the ambulance, holding an ice pack to her head while the EMT began to get ready to leave. Mildred Tipton was being talked to by two cops, one of them writing down what the other was saying. Then, a light gray Ford Fairmont pulled up in front of Heather's driveway, Detective Sam Locke stepping out. Heather saw as he walked towards her. Heather Wilcott, I'm Detective Samuel. I know who you are. Sam Locke was the detective that was given the case of 2018. Heather knew this because for a short while, she was obsessed with finding this man, and she knew every detail about the case, including the man that was supposed to find him, but never did. However, this is the first time the two actually officially met. Ah, do you? Locke asked. Yeah. I know how if you did your job and found this maniac, the back of my neck wouldn't have been cut. Locke sighed. I'm sorry, Heather. I promise I'll find whoever did this, but first I need your help. What did this man look like? He looked the exact same. Same outfit, same mask, but he had on fake claws or something. I don't think they're fake, Locke said, causing Heather to look up in confusion. Really? You think this guy is a monster? No wonder you never found him. You were probably too busy talking to conspiracy theorists or something. Actually, Heather, we have proof that they're real. Renee Wolfe was found in the middle of the woods, mauled and clawed up. Heather scoffed. Renee? Renee's a goddamn drug addict. She lives in a car, for God's sake. She probably owed some jackass money, didn't pay up, and she was used as a message to others. She probably has nothing to do with this. We have a witness, Heather, who... Hell, why am I answering your questions? That's what you're supposed to be doing. Maybe if you were actually good at solving crimes, none of us would be here, Heather shouted just as Monica pulled up, wondering what the hell's going on. After more arguing and finally some answered questions, Locke and the other cops left along with the ambulance. A patrol car was going to be stationed out in front in case the man came back. Heather and Monica were back inside the house, sitting on the living room couch. Heather didn't want to be in the kitchen. So, he's back, Monica said. 2 years have gone by and he's back. Yeah, Heather simply replied. He is back. We have to end it, Heather then blurted out after a few seconds. Monica looked confused and concerned. What? We have to end it. We have to kill him. Are you insane? He'll get arrested, Monica exclaimed. Not if it's self-defense. I bet he'll come back eventually, maybe even today. That's when we give it our all. That's when we kill him, once and for all. For Emily, for Hal, for Chris, for us. But, Monica started, Emily and Chris aren't dead. Hal is? He killed himself after what happened. Emily is no longer our friend because of what happened. Our entire friend group was lost because of what happened. We need to end this, Monty. Today. A few hours later, the sun was setting and Heather's family and friends were coming over. Well, really just her family's friends. Heather really only had one friend in Monica. She didn't tell the partygoers what happened and feared that Heather and Monica's plans would be ruined. They needed to keep up the illusion that they're just having fun, celebrating America's independence. But in reality, they knew that the man would be back to finish the job from 2018 and earlier today. All they had to do was wait. Meanwhile, Detective Locke was reading over the case file of Renee Wolfe. She had 4 priors, and like what most people had said throughout the day, she was a junkie. Was it a drug deal gone bad? Nothing else? No, of course not. It had to be something else. It always is. The knocking interrupted Locke's train of thought. Officer Bullock? Detective, we just got a call about some suspicious guy with claws wearing a spray-painted ski mask heading inside of someone's backyard. This got Locke interested and worried. Whose backyard? Heather Wilcott's? Nah, Emily Standall. I'm back, Monica exclaimed to Heather while she walked through the back gate. Got the baseball bat and your bullets. Heather was a little concerned since Monica's house was only 5 minutes away, but she'd been gone for over 10 minutes. It was probably nothing, plus they needed to get ready. As the fireworks started, the two girls stood by the edge of the backyard, ready to hear the growling noise their old friend Hal had heard 2 years ago. Locke speeded his Ford Fairmount down the suburban streets, trying to reach Emily Standall's house in time. A few onlookers gazed for only a second before turning their attention back to the fireworks. When Locke finally arrived at the Standall house, he clear as day saw her back gate ripped off the hinges and laying in front of Emily's car. The growling noises were something not of this world. The two girls looked at each other before Monica pulled out her baseball bat and Heather finished loading her Daisy Model 340 pistol. Luckily, no one in the backyard saw this, or the pair run into Starcrow Woods. Locke pulled out his piece as he stepped in the backyard. At first glance, he saw nothing. Shed, tree, table, and chairs. But in the middle of the table was a dark blue umbrella. On top of that was a huge, bloody mess of a person. Locke almost threw up, but he managed to contain himself. It was when he saw the cut-off face of Emily Standall. That's when he realized something wasn't right. Heather and Monica ran deeper and deeper into the woods, not caring how much noise they made. As Heather said, they needed to end this today. Eventually, Monica tripped on something. Heather turned to help her friend up, but saw a voice recorder next to her friend's feet. Dana Swift's voice recorder, but Heather didn't know that. She then heard leaves cracking before seeing him, standing in front of a pure black tree, a little hole just big enough for someone to get onto their knees and crawl inside of behind him. Heather stood up and aimed her pistol that Monica loaded for her, and pulled the trigger. The hell? Why wasn't this working? Sorry, Heather, Monica said, pointing another gun at Heather's neck. Locke quickly called for backup, but all that was going through his head was why this felt so off. This can't be the same man. He didn't cut off faces. Why change his MO? Why now? Unless this was a copycat killer. But the 911 call that came in stated that the man breaking in had claws. But that's when Locke saw something on the table. A strain of long black hair, probably from a female. Monica's long black hair swayed as she now moved in front of Heather, gun still pointed. The latter watched in horror as the man stood side by side to her. Heather finally understood Locke's comments about him. This was not human. Human-ish, but not human exactly. What the hell are you doing, Monica? She is doing what I want. The man spoke. He actually spoke. Heather was startled at first, but then confused. What? Then when she saw Monica's eyes, they were pure black, nothing inside of them. Was the man or the thing controlling her? For you see, Heather, I have waited 2 years to get revenge for what you did to me. I didn't do anything to you. You ruined the sacrifice! That's how the tree lives. That is how the tree lives. Through sacrifices of you petty humans. And the tree... the tree is everything. But what do you need Monica for? Heather asked. Well, someone has to take the fall for all of these deaths. And with some carefully placed evidence in what's about to happen to you, Monica here will go down for all of it. The man then turned to Monica, but only glared at her. Then, Monica lifted her gun up to Heather's face, the latter putting her hands up. Monica, don't do this! Just as Monica clicked the safety off, manic running and leaves cracking came from behind them. Everyone looked at Detective Locke as he tackled the man to the ground. Monica stopped for a moment to look, letting Heather run up and punch her face, facing the gun towards the ground. The man pushed Locke off of him and got on top, trying to slice his neck open with his claws. Locke guarded his neck with one hand, grabbing his piece with the other. Meanwhile, Heather and Monica went out up against the tree, Heather between the tree and her friend. Monica, stop! This isn't you! She yelled one more time, getting no response. Now out of options, Heather kicked Monica's stomach and then slapped her face, finally dropping the gun. Heather grabbed it and aimed it at her friend. "Stand down!" she yelled. Monica didn't listen. She screamed and charged at Heather, forcing her to pull the trigger. Monica's body fell right in front of the hole in the tree, blood dripping out of her forehead, eyes wide open. The man took his claws and stabbed Locke deep in the ribs. He screamed in agony just before putting the gun to the man's temple. The man fell off of Locke, lying next to him, in practically the same position as Monica. He may not have been fully human, but he still went down like one. Heather was crying, dropping the gun in front of her. She had just killed someone, her best friend. A few hours later, the bodies were being taken away. Locke was being driven to the hospital, and Heather was back at her house, the party guests scared and confused. Heather, Locke, and everyone else later found out the full story. When Monica left to go get her baseball bat and bullets for the fight in the woods, the man used some sort of mind powers to manipulate her, at least that's the theory, to do his bidding, fill up Heather's gun with fake bullets. Thanks to security camera footage around Emily Standall's house, the police easily saw the man maul her to death, posing her body on top of the umbrella. They also saw the man place the strand of black hair on Emily's backyard table. Clearly, the whole murder of Emily Standall was only an excuse to try and point the cops in Monica's direction. Unfortunately, at least for the man, he had no idea about the cameras around the house. Now, this part is all speculation from cops and neighbors, people online, you name it. The man was going to have Monica shoot and kill Heather, and finally have Monica blamed and arrested for everything, a scapegoat. Of course, that plan didn't work. Why do all of this? Anyone's guess, really. Heather certainly didn't want to know. Her part in this was all over. The man is dead. Monica's dead. Heather will probably have to start going back to therapy. Locke will survive, at least that's what the doctors are saying. The man in the woods is dead. Case closed. It was late at night in the police station morgue as Isaac Fury finished up his notes on Monica Mamlone's death. Gunshot to the head. That's when he heard something coming from inside of the middle fridge. What the hell? Then, a bang. Isaac jumped out of his seat, running to the door, hearing the fridge door slam open, and loud, angry growling coming from behind him.